Joining us, everyone. The news continues next on Chicago Live on Fox Local with Jake Hamilton. I hope to see you back here with Anita and I on the news at 4. Be kind, be great, and be well.
You know, I always love how Terrence Lee signs off. It always makes me just feel like everything's going to be okay. And everything is going to be okay because you're watching Chicago Live. It's Friday. I'm your host, Jake Hamilton. And we got a lot of stuff to cover over the next couple of hours before Terrence Lee and Anita Blanton return a little bit later for Fox 32 News at 4. Let's take a live look outside if we can. I want to take a live look at the weather. Obviously, a lot of eyes this weekend are turning to the sky as we wonder if the weather is going to have any impact on the Chicago Air and Water Show. Obviously, weather has been a monumental headline dominating life for so many people in our area, many of whom are still without power. So we're going to be talking with JD a little bit later in the show about what we can expect not just into today, but through the rest of the weekend. And is there, well, you know what? They're looking like they're having a pretty good time. We're taking a live look out at the, that's probably not the playpen, right? That's just out, probably the lake next to the park. Oh, it is the playpen. Okay, all right. Well, I wouldn't know. I've never been invited. Yeah, it looks like they're having a good time out there on a Friday. Don't you work? Aren't you working? So we're going to talk with JD a little bit later. We have a really interesting topic we're going to talk about, and maybe you've seen this online. A person who seemed to have a very deep-rooted interest in one of the actors who played a character at Disney World, and it has since gone viral. The story is that a young woman seemed to have a very deep-rooted passion for the character of Peter Pan, and the video of it is going viral because the actor who plays Peter Pan seemed to be a little uncomfortable, but obviously the whole bit is that they cannot break character while they were in character, while they were working. So we're going to be talking a little bit about that, and we're going to be talking live with someone from Fan Expo. If you've never been out there, I'll be out there this weekend. It's happening at the Donald E. Stevens Convention Center in Rosemont. An amazing collection of all things pop culture, movies, TV, comics, superheroes, you name it. Some of your favorite stars are going to be out there. Not just out there, you can meet them, you can shake their hand, you can get a picture with them, you can talk to them, you can get an autograph. I'm going to be out there moderating several live panels, including Mr. Kurt Russell. It's going to be his first time doing a panel like that ever, and I'm very honored to be the one that gets to have the conversation with him while we're doing that. But so much more to get to before we get to that. First up, this is a really fascinating topic. Chicago startup SplitSec is testing a new approach to gunshot detection using smartphones instead of fixed sensors. We're going to bring in the founder and CEO. Would you do me a favor? We didn't get the chance to chat before the show. Can you pronounce your name for me, please?
Yeah, hey. Sri Devasigamani.
Thank you very much. Sri, talk to me a little bit about SplitSec. What are the problems you're trying to solve that existing gunshot detection systems just weren't solving?
Yeah, look, first off, I want to say this. Everybody who's affected by gun violence, our thoughts go out to you. We wish we lived in a world where our technology wasn't needed. But the reality is there is gunfire every day. And what we notice most about gunfire is when gunfire happens, it takes minutes, 10, 15 minutes for people in that area to realize what's going on. There is a lot of confusion. Sometimes people run towards gunfire. The next thing is when gunfire incidents happen, only 13% results in a 911 call. And so supporters of systems that, like ShotSpotter, for example, will say, this is why we need these kind of systems in place. So somebody calls 911 or we have it piped to 911. So we recognize that. What we have tried to do really is take a completely different approach. We are all about personal safety and making people aware. And so what we are focused on is, can we do something by making people aware of gunfire around them? And this is for people, who regular people who may not recognize gunfire. In fact, I want to say we have people on our advisory council who are ex-police officers, and they themselves will say sometimes they can differentiate between gunfire and firecrackers. So we are about making the people aware of as soon as possible that something is happening, and then be able to share that with other people within a 1 mile radius. All this is possible from using a cell phone.
You touched on something that I wanted to ask you about. How accurate is SplitSec at distinguishing gunshots from things like fireworks or a car backfiring or construction noise?
So, no technology is perfect, right? If I came and told you, hey, ours is 100% right, that is not right. What we have built is we have an AI model that has shown that it is about 90% right in getting sounds that sound like gunfire, and about the same rate at getting sounds that are not gunfire. I realize that 10% is still a large number, but our view is as things improve and evolve, and as we retrain the model, that number ought to go up. So we feel fairly good about that. The second thing we are doing is we are using multiple phones in that area to confirm that they have all heard a gunfire. And so the phones themselves talk to each other, compare notes, and then they want the user saying, yeah, there is a gunfire in this. So we feel our approach at identifying gunfire is better than what is out there. But again, it's not perfect. It can certainly make mistakes. It can make mistakes warning you about sounds that are not gunfire. It is quite possible that it also misses gunfire, in some cases.
Not to get too into the weeds with the technology of it all, but is it true that you sort of worked on the technology by training it with like 30,000 different sounds to be able to try to better make it more accurate in that regard?
Yes. So we have trained it with real gunfire sounds. We have built things like phone trees where we have fired weapons of various grades in front of the phone, behind the phone, significantly distances away from the phone, putting phones behind trees and behind buildings. We have made these phones listen to gunfire sounds and a variety of sounds. But again, the universe of sounds is large. So to solve this problem is quite challenging. And hence, what we are asking, early adopters and people to do is, if there is a false positive, please voluntarily submit a short audio clip so we can use it to train the model.
You described it as ways for gunfire, which gives me a better picture of sort of how it works. Can you just break down the logistics of how the system works? If a gunshot goes off, what does it mean for? Is it a push notification on my phone? I mean, what are we talking about?
Yeah, so what we have built is an AI model that runs on your phone, and it's designed to wake up only on gunfire. And all the analysis is entirely done on the phone. Nothing ever leaves your phone. We don't pipe audio to the cloud and analyze it in the cloud. We are a privacy-focused company, so we do all of that on your phone. So when a gunfire happens, within a few seconds, your phone will warn you, hey, I heard a gunshot. And then you as a user can push a button and say, yeah, it sounded like a gunfire. And then we distribute that alert to everybody else who carries the app within a 1 mile radius. So people around that area instantly know that something is happening. But here's where it gets even more interesting. When 2 or more phones pick up the gunfire, we are actually able to triangulate where that gunfire happened. And so we are able to post that area, our triangulated area, also on a map to say, here is where we believe gunfire is originating from, and it tells people not to go to that area. It helps move away from that area.
Is
So
the
all of
hope
this happens in a few seconds.
is the hope to eventually use this technology to communicate and notify police, or are you hoping to just keep it with private users?
So it is built again model-like Waze initially. So Waze is, you open Waze to see whether there is traffic ahead or accident ahead. So there's a little bit of, something in there for you to see what's happening. At the same time, you may contribute to the community saying, I'm stuck at traffic or there's an accident ahead. So a bit of give and take. So it's really built as a community-powered model. Certainly, I think with the right structure, it's possible that this could be shared with the police. Obviously, we are big believers in privacy and anonymity. So what we have today doesn't expose, user locations, doesn't expose anybody. So the police can get a similar map which shows where gunfire is happening, how many people have confirmed it, and it could actually be useful information for them to respond. But as we stand, we do not have a formal contract with the city or with the police, so we don't pipe any alerts anywhere at the moment.
Are you currently testing this anywhere in Chicago right now?
Yes, we have 2 pilots that are happening in Ward 21 and Ward 42. I'm very excited for the people who are really stepping forward and who are pioneers and helping us see whether something like this would be useful for our community. So we are running pilots, and we are in discussions with a couple other wards on potential pilots, as well as with a few other organizations that are looking to run pilots with us.
What have you learned just from those initial areas that you've been testing on so far? And is there a marker to gauge success to determine whether or not it's working?
Not as much as initially we want to see whether such a technology is useful for people. And what we have found is, in order to cover a ward, let's say an average ward is 50,000 people, if we have an adoption of 1 to 2%, so you're talking 400 to 600 people, that actually gives you a fairly good wide ward coverage. So something like this can be scaled up and can provide uniform ward coverage. And so that's one of the exciting things about this, obviously for significant low cost. The second thing is, in terms of success, yes, we want people to provide feedback that they like it. We are looking for false positives. We are also, some people have talked about battery life, so we are paying close attention to it. Certain models, especially some of the high-end models, have come back with more false positives than what we'd like. So we are again taking a closer look at that and developing fixes for that.
Sri, you mentioned privacy being important at the beginning of our conversation. For someone who says, well, if my phone is listening for gunshots, then what else is it listening for? What else is it listening to? How do you reassure someone who says, I'm worried about my phone just listening all the time for something?
100%. This is a concern that, I personally share. So that has gone into the heart of the product. What we often show people is, hey, you can completely turn off Wi-Fi or cellular, and you can see that the app is still running and analyzing for sounds. The company's pledge and commitment centers around privacy. So all the audio analysis is done on the phone. Nothing ever, gets sent out. The only time we even ask is if people want to voluntarily submit some false positives, so we can train the model to make it better. Otherwise, it's completely centered on being a totally private and personal safety device. So I would say that the way we have approached this probably sets a benchmark for privacy in terms of what we bring into market.
And what's the cost look like? Is it available to anybody now? I know you mentioned a little bit of testing, but is it available to people? Mm-hmm. And if so, what's the cost look like?
So the cost is going to be significantly less. It's not going to cost millions of dollars. In fact, the pricing we have given, again, we are kind of working out details, is like $15,000 per ward, which is, I want to say, like one like nearly a 1/10 of the current cost, so significantly lower cost than other systems. Currently, the app is available for use by people in Chicago in different wards. So you can go to the Android store and look at the app. We do ask that you, when you install the app, that you select the correct ward you're in, so we are able to provide information that is relevant to each ward.
All right. Shri, we appreciate this is a fascinating conversation, and thank you for joining us to break it down.
Great. Fantastic. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, sir. All right, guys, just after 1:15, Chicago Live rolls on. We'll be right back. Welcome back, 1:18 on Chicago Live. The show rolls on. A new University of Illinois dashboard is using nearly a decade of police use of force data to flag counties with unusually high or unusually low rates of lethal force incidents. We're going to bring in Scott Althouse, the Marion Professor of Political Science at Illinois and the Director of the Klein Center. Scott, thank you for joining us, sir. We appreciate you.
It's a pleasure.
Tell us a little bit about this anomaly detector and the logistics of how it works.
Sure. The Klein Center for Advanced Social Research at the University of Illinois has been working for nearly a decade to better document police uses of lethal force around the state and around the country. And our latest dashboard that we've developed to serve citizens as well as law enforcement agencies helps us to understand whether the number of lethal force incidents that we observe in a given county in a given year is much different from what a predictive model would estimate as the number of lethal force incidents for that county, given just three factors: the population size of the county, so larger counties should have more of these incidents than smaller ones; the population density of the county, are they urban, are they rural; and then the number of civilian gun violence incidents that have happened in a county. And this model that uses those three factors is able to generate a prediction of how many lethal force incidents by police, we should expect to see in a given county. And the dashboard helps us to understand whether what we actually observe for a given county is higher or lower than that prediction, as a way to try to understand whether what we are observing that shows up in the news or that we hear about in terms of policing practices is unusual relative to national benchmarks.
Well, I want to take that a step further. When you flag a county as an outlier, what does that tell us? And then also, maybe equally important, what does that not tell us?
Well, it tells us a few things, and it doesn't tell us many more. So the few things that it tells us is that a county that has higher than predicted numbers of police uses of lethal force or lower than predicted numbers, that difference is not explained by county population, by the degree of urban or rural population density, or the levels of civilian firearm violence. So it tells us that much. But what it doesn't tell us is what is going on to help us to understand why this anomaly is showing up in the first place. The other thing that it can tell us, though, is whether that anomaly status is changing over time. So we're able to generate for every county between 2016 and currently we're up to 2023, their anomaly status for each of those years. And so we can see if a county is trending downward in anomaly status or upward or staying about where you would predict. And the idea here is that so many conversations about policing practices and the need for policing reform are driven by YouTube videos that are not very representative of the larger population of these incidents that happen. So the anomaly detector is designed to help community residents understand if their area is unusual relative to other places. Once the anomaly detector gives them that information, then the next step is to ask questions that the anomaly detector can't answer. What's different about our county relative to other places? What particular agencies within the county might be contributing to these outcomes? What else is happening policy-wise or in terms of local crime patterns that might help us to understand why our county is an outlier or not?
You just touched on something really interesting, sort of what else is contributing. If a county has sort of a high anomaly rate, does that inherently mean that they are absolutely, beyond question, doing something wrong? Or is it a situation, could there be other factors at play?
So anomaly rates are neither good nor bad. You can imagine a situation where a county is a high anomaly, that is, many more incidents involving lethal force by police than would be predicted by this model. Well, that could be that there's a need for reform or better training or improved policies, but it might also be that local crime patterns are just different in that county, and that county is just not the same as other counties that are like it around the country. Likewise, on the low side, if we have a county where we observe far fewer incidents of police using lethal force than this model would predict, that might be a place where there's some innovative training or policies that are already being implemented that might be reducing unnecessary uses of police force. But it might also be a place where police are not completely fulfilling their responsibilities to protect citizens. There are areas of the country where people talk about under-policing, and it could be that a low anomaly is that. The anomaly status itself isn't good or bad, but what it does is tell us whether a place is different from other places that are like it statistically around the country, so that we can have more productive conversations about what is going on in our local areas and what might we want to understand better in order to interpret what this anomaly status means if we live in a place that stands out in one direction or another.
Are there factors that it makes it difficult for the model to capture, whether it's police department policies or training or staffing or demographics?
So the data that are underlying the Spotlight system are documenting police uses of lethal force all around the country. And the incidents that we're documenting are any police discharge of a firearm, whether somebody is killed or somebody is injured or nobody is injured or killed. We want to capture the entire population of police officers pulling the triggers on firearms, and then any other use of police force that results in a civilian death. So that's the population of incidents that we're tracking at the University of Illinois, and we have documented over 28,000 of these incidents around the country since 2014. So we have that information. We're also documenting the ascribed race and sex of civilians that are involved in these incidents so that communities can have better understanding of some of the characteristics of civilians that are involved. And for the state of Illinois, we have a special data set that has 93 different factors for each of these incidents to help us understand what time of day they took place, what type of force was being used, to have a specific latitude and longitude that goes with each of these incidents. So this is the level of detail that we're collecting across the country. But that level of detail doesn't get us to the answers that we want. And one of the things that we don't track, we don't have the ability to track, is the particular agency level policies or training opportunities that are undertaken. And the design of Spotlight, which was informed by a gathering of law enforcement leaders and advocacy groups and academic researchers to try to come together and think about a single data set that would serve the needs of all of those groups. Spotlight was designed to help us understand where these incidents are happening, how the number of those incidents is changing over time, who's involved in those incidents, in order to supply local residents all around the state, all around the country, with better information so that they can begin taking the next step and understanding if our community is somehow an outlier in a way that either feels good or doesn't feel good, to be able to explore what might be going on with local policing practices that either other places could learn from because something seems to be working right, or to learn maybe there's a situation that would help us to better understand how policing practices could be improved. And again, that is meant, Spotlight is meant to empower local residents and thought leaders all around the country with that basic information so that their understanding of policing practices is rooted in facts, a firm foundation of facts, rather than the latest incident that happens to have made social media or the news.
Scott, is it accurate that the database covers between 2014 and 2023?
That is correct, and we're working forward in time. We're hoping to make this eventually a continuously updating system so that people can understand data in nearly real time as we move forward. One of the things that we've been able to document because we're tracking at the national level is that between 2021 and 2023, we saw a 24% drop nationwide in police uses of lethal force. And before the Spotlight project came along, we had never had data that would allow us to understand that or even see that before. So there are many insights that are coming from this project that we're excited about sharing so that communities around the state and around the country can move forward in more productive ways in conversations about what local police agencies are doing and how to improve the practices that we see.
Do you think that the information that you've gathered up to this point is going to be heavily altered once you start bringing in more recent information from 2023 up to today?
So we have, for the anomaly detector, every year between 2016 and 2023, each county gets its own anomaly score. And as we move forward with 2024 data, which hopefully by the end of this year we'll be releasing, there will be a new anomaly score for 2024 for each of the counties in our database and moving forward. So we're going to be extending the data as we move forward in time, but that won't be changing previous years or any of the data that we've collected up to now. And again, we're trying to understand how things are changing over time, whether things are moving in a direction that communities and law enforcement agencies feel comfortable with, whether there are needs that are becoming apparent in these data that would help us to think about changes that might be beneficial for our communities.
Scott Althouse, we appreciate your time. Thank you for breaking it down for us, sir.
Thank you for having me on today, Jay.
Yes, sir. All right, guys, 128 Chicago Live rolls on. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Chicago Live, just at 1:31. Let's take a live look. We just looked at this before we went to break earlier. People are packing the beaches and the lakefront, hoping to get, well, that's the Bean. Well, they might see it at the Bean, too, but people are hoping that, there you go. What is that? What is that, Ohio? No. Yeah, Ohio Street. Man, the beaches they're packed. People are hoping that they can look up to the skies and see a little bit of the Chicago Air and Water Show, maybe a little bit of the practice, some of the planes flying over. It's going to be a packed weekend. Hopefully, the weather's going to hold off. We're going to bring JD up here a little bit later in the show to tell us what we can expect throughout the rest of the day and into the weekend, and whether or not the air and water. Oh, that must be nice. Way to rub it in. All right, look at all the folks out there in the playpen having a great time. Great day to get out there on the boat and look up. If you got a friend with it, I got to get a friend with a boat. I don't want a boat. I just want a friend with a boat. All right, we got to move on. Like I said, 132 now. If you've missed the story of what they're calling the Peter Pan girl, it's a fascinating conversation about a young woman who apparently frequents Disney World often and is such a fan of the character of Peter Pan that she, through this video that has gone viral online, makes it seem like she's making the actor who plays Peter Pan inherently uncomfortable. And it brings about this conversation of fandom into intense fandom. So we're going to bring in Dr. Anna Belmonte, Division Chair and Assistant Professor in Forensic Psychology at the Chicago School. Doctor, thank you for taking the time. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Of course. Listen, I'm not going to ask you necessarily to recap this whole story, but for people who maybe don't know what we're actually talking about, can you talk about just briefly why this is of a particular interest to you?
Sure. Yeah. I think, for me personally, anything with social media that can bleed into the practice of psychology is really interesting. But I think what's super interesting here, two things. First is the phenomenon behind it of why so many people have become attracted and interested in these videos and have created videos themselves or commented on videos. But then secondarily, kind of looking into the situation, as you mentioned, potentially making the actor uncomfortable. Is this individual concerning? Are the behaviors concerning? Those are all things from a forensic psychology perspective that interest me, and I'm sure my colleagues and the general population.
My takeaway, and I think one of the things that I think people find fascinating about this particular instance is that, normally if a fan approaches a celebrity and the celebrity is made to feel uncomfortable, the celebrity can say something rude or can walk away or can just say, hey, get away from me, leave me alone. In Disney, it's a little different because these are actors who are told on a regular basis, do not break character. I've talked to people who have played these characters at these parks before, and there are a lot of rules and regulations on, keeping that illusion alive. Do you feel like the actor playing Peter Pan in this situation is, for lack of a better word, stuck, which makes this situation a little bit more different than just a fan approaching a celebrity on the street?
Yeah, I think that's an excellent point. The kind of free will of being able to escape is at some point taken away from a person playing a character here at Disney. I had, in perusing some of these videos, I've seen comments of people mentioning that actors have lost roles or lost jobs over, stepping outside of the bounds of the role. And so that's a serious threat for an individual. Even if they're feeling uncomfortable in a situation, that person may not feel like they have the ability to stop the interaction. There have been videos too, as I'm sure everybody has seen, of the character Peter Pan kind of trying to get away or run away within the bounds of the character, like kind of leaping around like a young boy. But the individual continues to follow him despite this.
From your perspective, where is that line? Because, you're talking to someone who is a fan of, pop culture and movies and actors and TV shows. And we have a fan expo in Chicago this weekend. So a lot of fans are going to be out there meeting celebrities that they like. But, you always worry about that line, right? That crossing that line where it's just not fandom anymore. It's getting to a point where, I don't know if obsession is the right word, but it just begins to make people feel uncomfortable. From your perspective, where is that line between that person is a fan, passionate about the work that this person has created versus, oh, this isn't actually safe or healthy anymore?
Yeah, I think there's two aspects to that. I think if the individual who has the fandom is making the recipient of the fandom, like the Peter Pan in this circumstance, to the degree of being uncomfortable or scared for their safety, that is problematic, first of all. But in general, too, the line that is across from the fantasy, from understanding this is a fantasy world that we are a fan of or, can watch on TV, but engage, in this in the real world like this, but to blur the lines and really believing that the fantasy is reality. That's where, as a psychologist, it gets concerning for, a mental health condition or just in general, just being a concerning behavior to me.
And this might be apples and oranges, but I do think it's a little bit adjacent because I do think sometimes there is a degree of people forgetting that these celebrities or characters or what have you, that there's a real person behind it. And the example I want to use is when you go to a professional sports game and some of the things that people are shouting at these people who are playing a game, to me that falls under the same umbrella of that fandom that just is almost going a little too far.
Agreed. And I think, you see in those sports arenas, a Taylor Swift fan, so I think about Taylor Swift or concerts or online, there's in those sports arenas, in concerts and whatnot, there's a framework for security, for rules that would get an individual removed from the situation. I would imagine there's something like that at Disneyland or Disney World as well. But I think, again, these professional athletes, they can to some extent step outside their role, but at the same time, they have to weigh the consequences of reacting in the moment to a potential perceived threat versus, a backlash that might come from what we see again on social media these days. For every action, there's a reaction. And I think everybody is weighing that at all times these days.
To what degree does social media bear some sort of responsibility here? Because anytime there is that awkward moment where a person crosses a line with a celebrity or they get a rise out of a celebrity or they get then you're talking about, TMZ's top headline, or you're talking about the person taking, that clip and going wildly viral on social media and in a sense being rewarded in a way, say what you want to about these clips. They are going viral. There was the one, I don't know if you saw it recently, where a person at one of the Comic-Cons was talking to actor Matthew Lillard and went off to him in front of a group of people saying, you lost me as a fan because of a mean thing you said to me a couple of years ago. But again, it goes viral and the person gets their moment if they're looking for that. So does social media have a role in this?
Yes, I believe so. I mean, thinking back to this, so-called Peter Pan girl, she made a video about how she hit 50,000 followers on her TikTok. That seemingly probably happened after some of her most recent videos went viral. And so there is not only obviously that intrinsic motivation to be looked at by the public, to have that moment of fame. But then there's potential monetary benefits these days as well. On TikTok, there's a creator fund. Influencers obviously get a high degree of deals, even, merchandise, free merchandise. So there's both that financial, but also egotistical, if you will, kind of reward that you might see somebody getting once their, social media goes viral. And so there are certainly people out there who approach these types of situations with that intent versus, a happenstance that something goes viral and it wasn't set up that way.
Is there a psychological, because we're talking a lot, this whole conversation, obviously, like we said, came from, the story of the Peter Pan girl. But, she was obsessed with this dude because he was Peter Pan. It could have been any actor, could have been any person dressed as that character, and she would have probably had the same reaction. So it clearly wasn't about the actor himself. Is there a psychological difference between being, for lack of a better word, obsessed with a fictional character versus an obsession with a real person?
I think, innately there is a difference, but at the same time, I think in the psychological aspect of it, I don't think there's necessarily a difference. There may be, if somebody has a obsession with a real person versus a fictitious one, if there isn't an embodiment in the real world of this fictitious person, certainly the risk for a safety or, just a event of violence or something like that drastically drops because there's not an embodiment in the real world versus that. But we're seeing that intersection right here with the character of Peter Pan crossing over with a real embodiment of that person in Disney. And yes, to your point, we've seen this for quite some time. Certainly, there's been different people who play the role of Peter Pan over 10 years. But what I've noticed in her videos, as others have picked up on, is she does not differentiate between those differences over time and engages with the character as if it's the same person that they have been, meeting each time. And so to me, that's also concerning and potentially blurring the lines of reality. Again, through the lens of social media, so you're not quite sure what's, truly going on, but that being present in the social media does kind of indicate to me that there may be some challenges with understanding the reality of the situation.
Well, talk about not being able to understand the reality. Listen, most people who, cross that line, they oftentimes maybe justify it in their mind. They don't necessarily think that they're doing something wrong. I mentioned that, we've got basically an expo this weekend where people are going to get the chance to meet all these celebrities and stuff like that. Are there, if someone right now is listening at home thinking, well, that's not me. I know where to draw the line. I know how to be a fan and not be weird about it. Are there good surefire signs that you could say, listen, if you're doing this, if you're doing that, if you're doing this, maybe you've crossed the line and you got to scale it back a little bit?
Yeah, I think, we're watching it play out on these videos. If you are monopolizing somebody's time, in these character meet and greets, whether it's in this expo at Disney or Comic-Cons, there's usually an order to things where there's a line or you're meeting and greeting, taking a photo with the celebrity. But individuals who kind of push the boundaries, stay longer than they should, don't respond to redirection by event staff, that might be, something that you want to look at a little bit closer, for sure. And also, again, if there's this kind of line drive obsessive for one person in specific or one character specifically, that kind of, again, pushes boundaries, that's certainly a concern.
And I'll cut you loose on this. Do you think the national attention that this sort of story has kind of spurred, do you think it results in less of these sort of moments happening, or do you think it results in more of these moments happening?
That's a great question. I think organically these moments will probably always happen. Again, given that they're likely, related to somebody's, mental health, wellness, or, personal efficiency. I think that there will be more attention given to it and potentially the inappropriateness of it. I would hope that when instances like this come up, where, individuals, roles, characters, athletes, if safety is questioned, I would hope that organizations who employ those individuals or, the facilities where those individuals work kind of take a look at their policies, procedures, and making sure that their employees are, always safe from these sorts of situations. It might be instances that, the safety and security team have never kind of considered of how to prevent and even provide their, actors, roles, athletes, whomever, with additional training and how to, manage those kind of situations, evade them if needed.
It's a really fascinating conversation, and I think you and I could probably keep talking about this for a while. Dr. Annabelle Monty, thank you for your expertise. Thank you for breaking this down. We really do appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right. 1:45, Chicago Live rolls on. Much more to come. We'll be right back.
The Dump.
Welcome back. Just about 1:48 on Chicago Live. There has been a lot of conversation surrounding the Illinois Quantum and Microelectronics Park. Some people criticizing the project, some people calling it a data center and pushing back at that being built. But we're going to bring in the CEO, Harley Johnson, the CEO of the Illinois Quantum and Microelectronics Park, just to clarify things, just to clear things up a little bit. First of all, Harley, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Pleasure being here.
First of all, what are people getting wrong about what's happening right now?
Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you for the opportunity to get into this. So, Illinois Quantum and Microelectronics Park, it's an exciting new project on the south side of Chicago. We're building out a research campus to help companies develop this next generation technology, next generation computing technology. This is unlike anything in the world. It is probably closest to a research park or a technology park, but it's focused on this one industry of quantum computing. Quantum computing is a new form of computing that we think can revolutionize a lot of things we do. What's special, and maybe what people are not yet appreciating because it's such a new idea, is that this is for the good of developing the technology, creating new jobs, and there'll be a lot of people there, which is, first of all, is very unlike a data center or a lot of the other developments we see. This is a site that does not use the kind of power, the kind of water that we're seeing with some of the large data centers that people are understandably concerned about. And the technology itself is safe. There's no emissions, there's no harmful chemicals. So these are some of the kinds of things we want to share with people, but really especially to share with them the opportunity and the fact that this will create jobs that are going to enable people to kind of get into this new industry.
And does that seem to be the main confusion, is that people think that this is a data center and it is in fact not?
I think that's one of the key points. I think that's one of the points that we're still trying to get out there.
Yeah. So can you explain what's actually going to be happening on campus?
Sure. So we are building multiple buildings on the campus at the U.S. Steel Southworks site. Some of the buildings will be for research. They'll have computing hardware. They'll have researchers in there doing their work with these new forms of computers. Other buildings will be mostly office buildings, workforce development, training, outreach. We're working with the schools, and so we'll have school groups coming in and learning about quantum computing. And then some other buildings that will be hosting light manufacturing, where companies are building component parts that go into the industry. So it's a whole host of activities. It is, again, quite different from a data center in the sense that, a data center is very high density of just racks and racks of computers using as much power as they can sort of get their hands on. This is less density. It's more research focused. It's about manufacturing, training, and R&D for companies.
And I feel like the fact that you're here on Chicago Live wanting to at least clarify the distinction between the two means that you at least understand, obviously, what people are upset about and want to say, hey, listen, let's, have you been able to have any kind of an open conversation with any of the groups who are upset about this?
Yes, we have. And I should also add that we understand that the technology is hard to understand.
Sure.
Right? It's an exciting, but to some people, confusing technology. I'm a professor at the University of Illinois. I teach engineering. Education, outreach, that's part of my DNA, and a lot of the other folks involved in the project have the same approach. So we have had many community meetings. We've had meetings with folks who are excited. We've had meetings with folks who are nervous. We've had meetings in the schools, meetings with parents, meetings with kids. And a lot of it is about the education. What is this technology? Maybe you've never heard of this. Why should you be excited about it? And to clear up some of the misconceptions.
And when you have those conversations, when you have those meetings, do you find on the flip side that people are a bit more open to the idea, they're a bit more amicable?
Yes, definitely. I think when we get out there and we have the conversations and people understand a little bit more about the technology and they understand what our mission is, what our aims are. I mean, we're a public organization. This is all out in the open. People gravitate to that and they appreciate it. And it's a process. Mm-hmm. People are just distracted with lots of things going on in the world today. This is good news, mm-hmm. and so we're always happy to be out there and share it. I'm happy to be here and share it with you today.
Outside of the confusion about whether it's a data center or not, are there any other issues that these groups have brought forward that you've had to address?
Yes, and a lot of good issues, a lot of good discussions. I mean, so first of all, again, we're not a data center, and that's sort of the question about what are we going to be doing there.
Sure.
There are also questions about, this is a former industrial site, U.S. Steel, Southworks, great tradition, legacy. A lot of people have pride in that site. But they know that it's an industrial site and it had to be cleaned up and all those kinds of things. And people have raised concerns about, are we doing this carefully and are we following a process? And the answer to those questions, of course, is yes.
Mm-hmm.
We're cleaning up the site. It's going to be a lot cleaner when we're finished with it than it was before we started.
What needed to be done?
Well, it's like any site, in any industrial site in the city of Chicago, you've got to take care to make sure that you don't spread out any chemicals that are in the ground and that you don't release chemicals into the air. This is true, I'm told, of literally every industrial site in the city of Chicago. And so we've taken care to be careful about that. I would add, the other thing that people talk about most often is how do they get involved? Like, how does my son or daughter get a job there?
Sure.
How does my grandson get a job there? And so,
do you have a number on the amount of jobs you think are going to be created here in the city of Chicago?
We do, and we think we know that within 5 years there'll be 1,000 people working there. A few more years there'll be another 1,000 or more people working there. There are estimates that the larger industry over a period of 10, 15, 20 years in the city of Chicago could create 70, 80,000 jobs. And so this is an area that, if you're a parent of a middle school kid, you want to be thinking about how can my kid be ready for that industry in 10 or 15 years. So that's a lot of the concern is let's make sure that the benefits and the opportunities don't pass us by, especially for folks on the south side who are neighbors and who remember the steel mill and their grandparents working at the steel mill.
Harley, if you, inevitably there are going to be people listening that are still saying, I'm not convinced yet. I'm not swayed that this is what's best for our community. You're clearly open to having an open conversation. You're here joining me talking about it. For someone at home who wants to keep that conversation going, what is the best way for them to do that with you guys so that it is a productive conversation?
Yes. So we have, many partners in the community that we're working closely with. We have really groups of community leaders who have come to us and said, "Help! We want to help spread the word. This is exciting. We're excited about it." And so, engage with your neighbors. You're going to find a lot of folks who already know a lot about this and are excited to talk about it. But also work with the schools. We are present in the schools. The companies we work with are donating money to schools. They are in the schools. We're at we're working with city colleges, Chicago State University, creating programs for kids and their families to learn more about this. So, be on the lookout, come participate in these programs. I think it's the best way to learn about it.
Fantastic. Well done. Harley Johnson, we appreciate your time,
right.
sir. Thank you for coming in and
All right.
clarifying everything. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, guys, just about 1:56. Chicago Live rolls on. We'll be right back. Welcome back. 158 on Chicago Live. We flew through that hour. We're going to head out live to the Kennedy Space Center where NASA is celebrating America 250. Very cool shot behind them. Let's listen in.
Excited for Max Power. Administrator Isaacman, directors, we want to thank you guys so much for all your leadership here. But more importantly, we are excited to let the world know that Florida is going to be the home of commercial space and aerospace technology for the future, not just of the United States, but on this very planet. In Florida, we want to make sure that we are committed to making sure that our workforce, like was talked about by Congressman Soto and Congressman Haradopoulos, that our workforce is prepared for the future, whether that's engineering or whether that's the machinists, the contractors, the builders, the electricians, and the welders that are going to be a part of this great mission that's going to lead not just Florida, but the United States into the future. And listening to Senator Moody, one thing that I'd be remiss in not adding is, the history of space has always come through Florida. We know that Mission Control was in Houston. We're aware of that in Florida. But the takeoff, the launch occurred here. All the launches, the vast majority, are going to be here. And we look forward to being a true pioneer leader, working with you guys and all that we're going to do to make sure that we win the race of space and beyond, coming right through the great state of Florida. Congratulations on all you do. I'm looking forward to Max Power. That's going to be a great event. See you guys.
And we understand that some of our congressional leaders may need to depart, and we're going to open the floor to questions. There is a microphone over here that you can line up at to ask your questions, and we'll call on you, and then have our speakers that are...
That's live at the Kennedy Space Center with NASA celebrating America's 250 with some very cool jets and helicopters and everything behind them. Cool shot out there. We got much more to come on Chicago Live. Let's take a live look over at the beach and look at all the people who are out there having a great time. Looking up, we just heard some of the jets flying by for the Chicago Air and Water Show, so something's happening. All those people out there, they're able to see something. Much more to come. We'll tell you more right here on Chicago Live. Welcome back to Chicago Live, kicking off our 2 o'clock hour. Much more coming up over the course of the show. This next one is it's just a perfectly written story. It is the combination of a sport that involves sliding and a fast food burger joint known for their sliders. White Castle and USA Luge renewing their partnership through 2029, extending that relationship that began back into 2017. We're going to bring in Jamie Richardson, White Castle's Chief Marketing Officer, and Gordy Shear, USA Luge's Director of Marketing and Sponsorship. Guys, thank you both for taking the time. We appreciate you.
Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me. And
of course. Listen, I don't know who was around a table or who was out with buddies having a drink who made that first connection between sliding and luge and then a White Castle sliders. But I really hope whoever it was that came up with that just got the biggest of paydays.
Well, that was Gordy, and he is not only is he an Olympic silver medalist, he's one of the best. He's in the fastest sport on ice, and he's one of the greatest people to work with in the world. And so is USA Luge. So White Castle's honored to be part of it all.
Gordy, I'm going to ask you, and I want you to be honest with me. What are you more proud of, coming up with this idea or your silver medal?
well, I think it was the beginning of my pun marketing career. No, I'm very proud. Look, 10 years together with White Castle is a huge accomplishment, and we just couldn't be more thrilled. There's obviously the pun part of it, which is great and funny, but also the fact that we've got such a great group of people backing us on a very important initiative, which enables us to go out and find the future luge athletes to hopefully one day go on to represent the U.S. at the games and win a medal.
Yeah, see, let's talk about that because, yeah, like you said, the pun is great. And honestly, listen, man, ask my girlfriend. I could talk about the pun all day. We could spend all 15 minutes just talking about the pun alone. But there's a reason that this partnership exists, and I'm assuming it's not just to keep the luge players constantly eating sliders all the time. So what is the actual benefit of this partnership?
Jamie?
For us, we exist to feed the souls that crave our generations everywhere. And to know that literally over these 10 years, we've had the chance to impact thousands of kids who come and have a great day trying out for Team USA Luge. And then some of those kids go on and become part of the development team. And to watch their progress over these many years, these are some of our current Olympians who started in the program. So it's really a thrill for us. More importantly, it's a chance to spend time with young athletes and their families and encourage them to be their best and to aim high. So for us, it makes that vision of feeding the souls come to life in a really meaningful way.
Yeah,
go ahead.
From our perspective, it's our critical development pipeline. But Jamie also touched on something important, which is the idea that even if someone just goes out and has fun for an afternoon and gets one of these cool T-shirts, it's still a great chance to open your eyes to something new and try something different and challenge yourself, even if it never goes beyond that afternoon.
Is it a difficult sport to get into? Is it to find that camaraderie, to find people in your community doing it, to find a mentor? Is it a difficult sport to sort of ingratiate yourself into?
It's a small family, and everybody's very supportive of each other. While it is an individual, or in the case of doubles, a team sport, everybody's in this sport for all of the right reasons. No one's here for their financial gain or for fame. People get into luge because it's all about the sport and the challenge and the opportunity to do something bigger than yourself, represent your country, your family, your friends. It's a really great community. And yes.
One of the things Gordy's taught us is it's the fastest sport on ice, and the precision that's required is amazing. And to see, to Gordy's point, the camaraderie is just really unique. And you can only really do luge at 2 places in the United States, either in Park City, Utah, or Lake Placid. So some of these individuals who might be trying out this weekend might get an invitation to do a tryout on the ice in Lake Placid down the line. And so it's pretty amazing to see these kids go out there and try something new and see a dream come true.
Jamie, is it your goal, whenever America inevitably wins another medal for this, that they also be handed a slider at the same time?
We would never say no to that, my friend. There's a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, and it's measured in many different ways.
Listen, Jamie, if you can make that happen, you will be on the Mount Rushmore of marketing, my friend. If you can get an Olympic medal in one hand and a slider in the other, like they'll start chiseling your face right now.
My friend, I'm just a crazy kid with a dream of my own, and that might be it. You just might have defined it for me.
No, but this is honestly such a great idea. Is it possible to? Are White Castles going to be equipped with any kind of information about the sport, about getting into the sport? If someone just casually finds themselves in a White Castle, is that a place to get good information, or do we need to seek, other places?
White Castle is a great place. It's also really easy and great to go to the USA Luge website, where it has all the details about this weekend's activities. I'm sure Gordy has that as well, just to make sure everybody knows where it's at and when it happens.
Yeah. You just go to usaluge.org and look for the Try Luge tab, and it's getting started, and you'll be able to see all the different programs. But the one you're looking for is the White Castle USA Luge slider search.
Yeah, and this weekend it'll be in Westmont, 9, 11, and 2, I believe. 3 different sliding sessions.
That's correct.
Gordy, I know that obviously, usually whenever we talk to people about White Castle, it's all about how much they want it and they got to have it and they need it. But listen, you got to stay. In this sport, you got to stay in good physical shape. You got to. It's all good things in quantity, right? So how important is it to sometimes potentially cover your ears, Jamie? Say no to White Castle.
That is not in our training.
There.
But I'm sure Jamie will tell you the importance of a balanced diet, and there's nothing wrong with splurging on a delicious slider every now and then, and our athletes are probably not guilty, but they're entitled to do that as well.
It's the base of all crave-a-physics.
That's right.
Listen, anyone that, I always sort of, my friends and I, we talk about when you're a kid and you go swimming all day and you get out of the pool and there's nothing better than whatever it is you're eating right when you get out of the pool. I mean, does anything taste better post, getting a practice in? You're starving and you're sweaty and you just want to just get a couple of calories in you. Is that the best time to just inhale a couple of sliders?
Look, our athletes need calories, and there's no more delicious source of calories than White Castle sliders.
Anytime is crave time.
This is a very serious question for both of you guys. How many sliders is too many sliders?
When you start to take them from friends, because it was built to be shared. And so it really should be who gets the last slider. Before you come back for more. And what's even better? You can get them in the grocery freezer aisle. We're all over the Chicagoland area with, wherever you go to get your groceries, you're going to find White Castle. So that's the convenience, is popping them in the microwave and calling it a party.
Jamie, you're very good at what you do, sir. All right. You say, it's always about giving someone else the last slider. Between the two of you guys, who gets it?
Well, I will always defer to my sponsor, so Jamie gets it.
And we'd say we should do a time trial, because I think Gordy can get down the ice a little bit faster than I can.
You know what? That sounds like a Chicago live shot in the making. If you guys want to set that up, we will take it live. I can promise you.
We don't encourage slider on slider violence, though.
No, we could call it the Craver's Cup.
No one encourages it. Sometimes it just happens, guys. And when it does, if there's a camera taping it and we're live, all the better. Listen, guys, this has been a lot of fun. as much as I love talking about the pun, I also love that we're able to get some information out there about bringing people in to the sport. One more time, let people know where they can swing by and maybe get a little bit more information. And I mean, listen, we know where to get the sliders, but where can we get some more information about the luge?
Yeah, that's usaluge.org, and hit the Try Luge tab, and you'll see all the information about getting started and the White Castle USA Luge Slider search.
All right, Gordy, I am going to ask you this. I've been in Chicago for a long time, but I am originally from Texas, and this is not going to be a surprise to anybody. I don't know how to skate. Never, and one of my very first live shots ever, right down the road right there, was me attempting to ice skate, and I slipped and hit my head, and it was a whole thing. Is there still time for a nearly 40-year-old man to get into the sport?
Yes.
There was a long pause on that, and I know there's not a delay on this Zoom.
There's caveats. We have a club program which allows anyone who's interested in the sport to try it, either in Lake Placid or Park City. And that's actually a fantastic opportunity to have a great time with the sport of luge and sliding. So,
all right, guys, you've been a blast. Thank you for having fun with me. Thanks for getting some information out there. Have a great rest of your day, and thank you for joining us.
Crave on, man.
Thank you so much for having me.
Crave on. I like that. All right, guys, it is just about 2:15. Chicago Live rolls on. We will be right back. Welcome back. 2:17 on Chicago Live. SFJ Sikhs for Justice, a U.S.-based organization advocating an independent Sikh state of Khalistan, is planning a non-binding unofficial referendum in downtown Indianapolis on Sunday from 9 to 5. And we're going to bring in the Sikhs for Justice General Counsel, Gurpatwant Panoon. Thank you for taking the time, sir. Thank you. We appreciate you.
Thank you very much for bringing me live.
Absolutely. Tell us a little bit about what is happening this weekend.
On 16th of August, the Sikhs for Justice, which is a human rights advocacy group, which is globally organizing a non-binding referendum, which is the democratic expression of Sikh people's right to self-determination. This is about the Sikh sovereignty, and this is about the liberation of Punjab, which is currently under Indian occupation. So we are asking the Sikh people to vote on a simple question in referendum. Should the Indian governed Punjab be an independent country, Sikh homeland, Khalistan? As Sikhs in the Indian occupation for the last 8 decades have suffered continuous genocidal violence. And under President Narendra Modi's regime, Sikhs are facing silent genocide, and the Narendra Modi's government is using 3 different weapons of the warfare. The first is the drug. They have infested the state of Punjab with the drugs so that the youth, which is going to campaign for sovereignty, that they die because of the drugs. And then is the debt. They are forcing the farmers to commit suicide because they are not able to pay their debt back to the government, and that's how they are killing farmers. Since Modi came into power, over 18,000 Sikh farmers in the Punjab have been forced to commit suicide. And the third weapon they are using is the demographic warfare. They are bringing the Indian labor from the other states of India and planting them in the state of Punjab, and forcing the Sikh youth of the Punjab to flee Punjab, to move on to the Western world and to the different countries. So that's why we are organizing a referendum in Indiana on 16th of August, which is coinciding also while the Indian government and the Indians are organizing an Independence Day. We are giving a question to the Sikh community: should Indian held Punjab be an independent country?
How do you respond to India's characterization of SFJ as an unlawful organization?
When we talk about Narendra Modi's government, anybody who has a dissenting political opinion, like Sikhs for Justice. Sikhs for Justice is a human rights group. We have exposed and uncovered India's genocide starting from 1947, then 1984, and the extrajudicial killings. Anybody who has a dissenting political opinion and who expose human rights violations that is happening in Narendra Modi's government, they always call them as an unlawful. That is the least, and they have labeled me as a terrorist as per the Indian law. But that's why we are doing the referendum. Anybody who is campaigning for a referendum, anybody who is using a vote, who is using a ballot to counter India's bullets, to counter India's violence, how that can be unlawful and how that can be a terrorist.
I do want to ask about the vote that is happening, because correct me if I'm wrong, the vote doesn't have a legal authority. So can you talk about the purpose of the vote?
So it is exactly, if we look into the model that Catalonians did it in Spain, or Kurdish did it in Iraq. Before you go to the United Nations and show them that this indigenous people of this region, millions of them, they are asking for a referendum, they are asking for independence. This whole exercise is about educating, about campaigning, because in 1990s, ours is a very different issue. In 1990s, when the Indians were committing violent genocide, when they were killing the youth of the Punjab, when they have made Punjab the killing fields, at that time, the Sikh sovereignists, they defended themselves through arms. And Indian narrative was that all Sikhs who are speaking or who are asking for Khalistan are terrorists. So we came into existence in 2007 and started organizing a peaceful and democratic campaigns starting from genocide to referendum on a simple question. So this unofficial, non-binding referendum has the backing of Punjab Referendum Independent Commission, whose members have organized referendums in Catalonia, has Kurdistan, Bougainville. So they have combined 120 years of unofficial organizing referendums. Once we finish globally, we are going to hit Punjab, we are going to hit India, we are going to do our unofficial referendum for 18-20 million Sikhs who are under India's occupation. And once we have the majority of the votes, which will be compiled probably in the next 3 to 5 years, we are going to present our case to the United Nations that either recognize our unofficial referendum as an official referendum, or they support and help us in organizing an official referendum in the Indian held Punjab.
Is there a large Sikh population in the Midwest?
The population has moved, demographically for the last 10 years. What I know from the, statistics which we get it from WikiLeaks or the U.S. statistics, there are over 50,000 Sikh families that they are living in the Illinois, Indiana, Wisconsin, Ohio area neighborhood. So we are covering around 5 to 6 hours of drive, 8 hours of drive, and with individuals and the Sikh community, they are very focused to get independence from the India. And they sometimes travel from 12 hours drive. So it is not only that the people will be coming from 5, 6 hours, they are coming from all over America.
Gurpatwant Panun, thank you for taking the time to chat with us about this afternoon.
Thank you very much for having me on Fox. I appreciate you. Have a great weekend.
You too, sir. All right, guys, 2:24, Chicago Live rolls on. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Just about 2:27 on Chicago Live. With Illinois lawmakers having passed legislation giving more than 100,000 rideshare drivers a pathway to unionize and bargain collectively, we are going to bring in Bailey Kokfarwana of the SEIU Local 1. Bailey, thank you for taking the time. We appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Of course. Thank you. Thank you. So Illinois just passed the rideshare union bill. What happens next practically for an Uber or a Lyft driver who wants to join a union?
Yeah, good question. So the App Drivers Union officially launched our union card this Wednesday. So if you are an Uber or Lyft driver in the state of Illinois, you can officially sign up for the union. And from there, once we get union recognition, we can collectively bargain.
And once that happens, is there a timeline on when that bargaining will be able to begin?
It's within 100 days.
Okay. All right. So then what are some of the things that the union will actually be bargaining for? What are going to be some of the hottest topics off the bat?
Yeah, obviously compensation. We have seen that Uber costs and Lyft costs, even in the city of Chicago, have increased, and drivers have not seen their wages increase with it. So compensation, safety on the job, and a big thing that drivers want to talk about is deactivations. So in a blink of a moment, they could be kicked off an app without any way to remedy it, and so we want to make sure that there's a fair process in place for drivers to appeal it.
Has Lyft or Uber reacted to this at all?
You're going to have to ask them. I don't want to speak for them. But I think that they're very aware that there's not enough drivers on the app because this isn't a sustainable job anymore. And so they need to change what's going on so consumers have more accessible rides, and they need to be paying drivers fairly to be able to stay on the market.
You mentioned that drivers' pay being one of the factors that's going to be talked about. What kind of pay increase are we realistically looking at now that there is a union backing?
Yeah, that's something that the drivers will negotiate at the table. But, to give you an example, some drivers will drive an entire hour and be stuck in traffic, and they will make below minimum wage. And so we want to make sure, one, that's not a reality anymore because that should be illegal. And then two, just making sure that there's a fair split. Right now, there's no transparent reason to why the algorithm pays them a certain amount. So making sure that process is transparent.
Obviously, with any union, there are going to be union dues. So how do you convince drivers that joining the union and being a part of this is actually financially going to be better for them?
Yeah. So for this union specifically, drivers do not have to pay dues. It's all voluntary. And the company actually has to pay a small fee to make this run properly.
Uber and Lyft are arguing that that this could ultimately end up impacting the people who use Uber and Lyft, that it could end up meaning higher fares. Is that something that is going to be addressed to be able to potentially work something out with the rideshare drivers, but not doing so at the cost of the people who use them?
Yeah, this legislation was really thoughtful in the way that it was drafted, and so that any fee that occurs because of the union cannot be passed on to the consumer. It has to be paid by the TNC, which would be Uber or Lyft. So we're really thoughtful about that. And in addition, I think any major corporation is going to say that, but we have seen the price of rides go up and drivers have not seen a penny of it. So we just want to make sure that it's equal and just.
Well, to that point, it's funny. I often, I don't use Uber and Lyft necessarily all the time, but I have conversations with the driver when I do, and one of the complaints I've heard is that they don't always understand how their pay is figured out. Is it possible that this union could potentially maybe just open up how the algorithm, for lack of a better word, is figured out, and how Uber and Lyft figure out what their pay is?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that would make drivers just more comfortable in understanding like how long they're driving and why they're being paid what they are. So transparency is a huge thing when it comes to what they're wanting at the bargaining table.
If we're looking, let's say, this is all just a hypothetical that I'm bringing up, but let's say that Uber and Lyft and the rideshare drivers don't come to an agreement. Does that stand to reason that we could see an Uber or Lyft strike in the city?
Yeah, so we, when this legislation was drafted, we wanted to make it really clear that there were certain deadlines that had to be made to ensure that a contract was enforced and being reached. So after, I believe it's around 200 days, if there's not an agreement that comes, then the state steps in and they help mediate and arbitrate a contract between us.
Do you expect this to just move forward and all sort of come to pass, or is there any kind of expectation that Uber or Lyft might try to fight to prevent rideshare drivers from unionizing?
I'm not sure. I would be interested if you wanted to ask that, Matt. But I think that drivers right now, they've been so isolated in this work. They don't have a central workplace. They don't really see other drivers. And so having this union has given them a bigger community. And I think that Uber and Lyft are seeing that and seeing that they have to work together and not against the workers.
Well, I'd imagine, you've had a lot of conversation with drivers, particularly recently. What are some of the things that surprised you most coming out of those conversations?
I think the biggest surprise is how this union became like their family, really. Some of these drivers, a lot of them are younger, they're single parents, they do this at night so they can take care of their kids during the day. And so they are leaning on other drivers as a support system. And it is, a beautiful thing, but this is how we grow the labor movement. And so it's very historic for the state of Illinois, but it's also just a really big blessing for our city to have such a diverse group of people coming together and fighting for one another.
All right. Bailey Koch-Farwana of the SEIU Local 1. Bailey, thank you for taking the time today. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
You too as well. All right, guys, we're going to dip in live really quick and listen in with President Trump, who is speaking right now.
Pretty quick trip, but I'm with you and always was 100%. 100%. And my administration is proving billions, and we're giving you billions and billions of dollars to hire, equip, and train new police officers. We're giving you more money than you've ever been given in history, more money, and you're going out and you're buying the best equipment you can buy. As president, I will always protect our qualified immunity. Would you like qualified immunity, everybody? Qualified immunity. It's always very important. I also deployed the National Guard and federal law enforcement to restore public safety in our nation's capital, Washington, D.C. And in D.C., Memphis, and New Orleans, we've removed over 30,000 criminals from the streets in a single year. In Memphis, crime is down 71%. In New Orleans, crime is down 75%. And in D.C., crime is down 81%. I'll tell you, because D.C. is very personal for me, but in D.C., crime is now, it was so bad when I got there a year and a half ago. People were being murdered, 3 a week on average. We have very few murders anymore. We have very little crime anymore. We've taken it from the worst, one of the most dangerous cities. Can you imagine our nation's capital, one of the most dangerous cities in the country? We've taken it to one of the safest cities of the country, in the country. And we moved them out. We moved almost 5,000 people out of D.C. And you know, it's a very interesting stat. 2% of the people create 91% of the crime. I love that stat because we can handle 2% of the people. If it was 60% of the people, we got problems. It's 2%. They're repeat criminals, sometimes 3-4 times a day with this cashless bail stuff. They repeat. They go into court. The judge says, "Oh, you can go," and they go out and create another crime. But think of it: 2% create 91% of the crime, and it's that's something we handled very well. We moved out. In Washington, almost 5,000, in many cases, career criminals. They're not there anymore. And every day I come to the White House, people are thanking me. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir. No, these young, beautiful girls, these young, beautiful girls in the White House, you know, they come in. Now, I'm not supposed to say beautiful, but what the hell? These young, these gorgeous, beautiful girls, they want to be safe, and they come, "Mr. President, may I speak to you?" "Yes." "Thank you, sir. Thank you." I said, "Why are you thanking me?" "Because a year and a half ago, I was afraid to leave. I was afraid to open the door of my apartment. And now I walk to the White House every morning, and I have absolutely no fear." "Thank you, sir." No, I get it all the time. Men, women, older men, younger men, and older women and younger women, they're all saying thank you, and I know exactly what they mean. We lived in a hellhole. 2 years ago, we were in a hellhole, and now we have one of the safest cities, and it should be safe. It's our nation's capital. We represent the whole universe, frankly, because there's nothing like the United States. Look at what we've done. Thank you. And you know, for other cities like New York, Chicago, LA, all they have to do is call us, and we will stop that crime. We'll stop that horrible crime. We come in with the right people. We come in with the power to move people out of the country if they're here illegally, and a lot of them are criminals that were let in through that open border, that horrible. Remember the scene? Remember the scene? Well, you saw it the other day in Spain, right? Okay, now envision that. They allowed 65,000 people in. Now you remember 25 million people. We were worse. That was like that every single day in our country, and that went on for months and months. And then we had a border czar, as you remember, Kamala. She was a border czar. She never went to the border. And she never once called Border Patrol. Other than that, she did an excellent job. She was a great candidate. I think they should run her again. She was a great candidate. But since I took office, federal law enforcement has arrested incredibly 1.2 million criminals nationwide, and bad ones. We want to make sure we get the bad ones. And we've increased federal criminal prosecutions by over 50%. And under the Trump administration, the FBI has nearly doubled its arrests for violent crime. The violent criminals are being arrested, and that's why you see the good crime numbers. I mean, you're seeing crime numbers even in places that do not do, let's say they don't have good leadership, like Chicago has very bad leadership, but we have the numbers down because of what the federal government's doing. We get no credit for it because they say, well, we get no credit for it. They like to take all the credit, but everyone knows we've done an amazing job. The U.S. attorneys and the FBI, all the people, Cash, and Todd has been unbelievable. We get all the credit. And as of this week, we've captured 9 out of 10 fugitives on the FBI's most wanted list, and that's a virtual record. We have a list. We have a list of 10 not nice people. These are not nice people, David Mack. You know, David, stand up, David. One of the wealthiest guys. He's got so much cash. He's got so much cash, he doesn't know what to do with it. And he wants to be safe. They save your ass, David, I'll tell you. You have no idea, David. Anyway, it's good to see you. I haven't seen you in a long time. He's a real estate man, a very good real estate man. And he used to be my enemy, but now he's very nice to me. Now he's very nice. He used to be my competitor, but he's a good man. He's a great, brilliant real estate person, too. It's good to have you, David. Shortly after taking office, I signed a historic executive order directing that anyone convicted of killing a police officer should face the death penalty. And last year, deaths of law enforcement, well, think of this, deaths of law enforcement officers in the line of duty fell to an 80-year low. That means people aren't playing games anymore. It's an 80-year low. Still too many, but it's an 80-year low, despite all of our extraordinary progress to restore safety to every community in our land. The radical left, Marxists, the communists, they're communists. These aren't socialists. Socialists are no good, but communists. Remember I said at the State of the Union speech the last one, we will not be a socialist country. I was right. They want to make us a communist country. They've skipped socialism. They skipped socialism. Can you believe it? So at least I was right. I like being right. But they continue their war on police and their destruction of the rule of law. The communists want to turn America into a third world country, into a hellhole of crime and filth. You ever notice, I said it a week ago for the first time, the first thing you see, I see, before you even see the crime becomes staggering, is the streets become filthy dirty. They're disgusting. They smell, they rot, but everything becomes dirty. And then you see the crime and you see all the other things. But I don't know, I'm not sure you've ever heard that said by anybody else. Most people wouldn't say it, but it's true. And squalor, and it just becomes so bad. And then the death comes, and it becomes really a true hellhole. And we're not going to let that happen to New York State. And that's why we have to get Bruce into office. We got to get Bruce in there. Nowhere is the communist attack on American society more clear than here in New York State. The radical left Governor Kathy Hochul has been very, very bad on crime, a nightmare for crime. She supports New York's disastrous no cash bail law. You know, it all started, if you think about it, because I've been here for a long time. I love this place, but it gets harder to love. It really does. But if you think, it really started with the no cash bail. Remember that? That was a Cuomo beauty, right? That was a Cuomo beauty. In other words, no cash, don't worry about it. You kill somebody, oh, that's okay, go ahead. Then you go and kill 2, 3 people a day. It's the craziest thing I've ever heard. And you can't, it's like men playing in women's sports. It's so crazy, you can't believe it. It's like transgender mutilization of your children. And all these people believe in all this stuff. But they came out with that one with the no cash bail. Just think of it, no cash. You kill somebody, you rob a store, you go right back out on the streets. It is the craziest thing I've ever seen. And I don't know, from a political standpoint, I guess it's good, because Bruce, how the hell can you lose to that? You're going to be ashamed. If you lose, you're going to be ashamed for the rest of your life. You'll be ashamed. Bruce would say, how did I lose to that? No, I mean, think of it. Open borders. Let's have open borders. Have the entire world pour into our country. 25 million people in 4 years. She supported the release of convicted murderers who killed New York City police officers. She wanted people that killed great police officers. One in particular in Long Island, where I went to the funeral, and he just met the people that gave this law enforcement chapels and rabbis, and met a whole group, and they were there, and they gave the most beautiful sermon. But they kill. These are absolute killers, and then you're not going to change them. You got to get them the hell out, or you got to put them away. And if you don't do that, you're just wasting a lot of time. This whole concept of what they do, the only thing is, from a political standpoint, it's so easy to run against, because it's just common sense. You know, I guess I'm a conservative guy, but I'm a common sense guy more than a conservative guy. It's all about, politics is all about common sense. Bruce is a common sense guy. Bruce is a common sense guy. All of our Congress people that are here, you know, we have all our Congress people here. That's a big deal. I think if you said, would you rather have Bruce Blakeman win or all of your Congress people? I don't know, Bruce. I think I'm going to have to give you up. I might have to take the Congress people. It's so important. Okay, they're very happy. She signed a law weakening the parole enforcement for convicted felons, really weakening it. She spent millions and millions of dollars providing taxpayer-funded lawyers to illegal aliens. If you weren't an illegal alien, you didn't get a lawyer. But if you were an illegal alien, you got lawyers, and they were very good. They were radical left lunatics, but they were very good, very effective. She's in favor of the sanctuary city. She thinks the sanctuary cities are wonderful, which are killing our country. And less than 3 months ago, Kathy Hochul signed a deadly and sedacious new law making New York a so-called sanctuary state. So she took it from the city to the state, meaning Kathy Hochul wants to release migrant criminals from jail and set them loose on innocent New Yorkers all over. Every street has people that are not supposed to be here. And the reason they left their country is a lot of bad reasons. You know, I know a lot of the leaders of these countries. They're very smart. More than smart, they're street smart, very street smart. And they don't want these people. So what they did is they sent them into the United States of America through the open border. And people like Kathy Hochul, they want to keep them in New York. We don't want to keep them in New York. We don't want them. We don't want to take a chance. Yeah, maybe they'll get better. You know what the chances of? About 2%. Maybe they'll get better. But Hochul and the radical left stand with the gang members, child predators, violent felons. We stand with hardworking New Yorkers. We stand with the great people of law enforcement. And Hochul and Mayor Mandami, we're against securing our border. They were against our massive tax cuts. They were against no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security for our seniors. They were against all of that. They fought it like hell. Is that right, Congressman? Am I right? Nick, right? They fought like crazy. I mean, we didn't get one vote. We have no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and you cops get a lot of overtime, obviously. You get a lot of overtime. I made you a lot of money, but you deserve it. And no tax on Social Security. Think of it for the seniors, and a lot of seniors. Is anybody happy about that, seniors? Are you happy about it? Let me do a quick poll. If you had your choice of only having one, clap for the one you like best. No tax on tips. No tax on Social Security for our seniors. No tax on overtime. I know. I knew the one they'd like the best. But she wants to raise your taxes. Think of it. She and all of these people are against these things. And if they get in, they're going to take them all away. They're all going away. Yeah, that'll be next. Yeah. That could happen, actually.
Welcome back to 51 on Chicago Live. I'm really excited about this one. Fan Expo Chicago is officially underway. Kicked off a little bit earlier today. It's out at the Donald E. Stevens Convention Center out in Rosemont. It's such a love letter, a collection of all things pop culture, whether it be movies, television, comic books, superheroes, artists, what have you. A great opportunity to go out and meet some of your favorite actors. I am very excited to tell you that I'm going to be out there a little bit later today and tomorrow, and on Sunday I am moderating multiple panels, including the Fan Expo debut of one of the most legendary actors of all time, Mr. Kurt Russell. Very excited to be talking live with him Sunday afternoon, but much more coming up. We're going to bring in Andrew Moyes from Fan Expo to talk all about it. Andrew, can you tell I'm excited?
I can. That was a great roundup there, Jake. Well done.
Thank you very much, man. You know what? No, because there's still much more to talk about. For someone who's never been out here before, it's hard to summarize. And I always tell people, you think you're a fan of something until you go to something like Fan Expo, and then you realize, oh, wow, fandom is through the roof here.
Yeah, well, I mean, Fan Expo Chicago is a celebration of all things pop culture. So as you say, you might come in as a comic fan and you're going to leave as a fan of anime or sci-fi or horror or fantasy, because we really lean into every genre. And so regardless of what you love, it's going to be celebrated here at the Donald E. Stevens Convention Center this weekend.
And, you know, Andrew, I have the great pleasure. I do a lot of like celebrity interviews here for Fox Chicago. And the amount of people who come up to me and say, man, I wish I could do that just so I could tell this person thank you and tell them what they mean to me in my life. Fan Expo is that opportunity because people will get the chance to shake Kurt Russell's hand and tell them how much The Thing meant to them. People will be able to meet the cast of The Boys and talk about the ending of the show. People will be able to meet John Carpenter and say, hey, man, I remember being at a drive-in cinema seeing Halloween for the first time. So those celebrity encounters that you've always sort of thought about how cool it would be to have, they're available at Fan Expo.
Yeah, they're happening all around us. I mean, this is an opportunity to meet your hero. And as you say, to tell them the impact that their character they've created has had on your life or the show that they've been a part of. I mean, what comes to mind for me is the 25th anniversary of Lord of the Rings. Would you believe this year we're celebrating the 25th anniversary? And how are we celebrating? We've got all 4 hobbits here with us over the weekend who, as you say, are available to have a professional photo op with you, or you can have anything signed by them. And then on Sunday, I think there's still a few tickets left, you can go and have second breakfast with them as well. So as you say, not only the chance to meet them and thank them, but also to hang out with them and have lots of different interactions, which is truly once in a lifetime.
You know, I always complain, not that there's ever anything about my job to complain about, but sometimes, you know, I get the chance to interview a legendary actor or a director, right? And it's because they have a new movie coming out this upcoming weekend. And so sometimes it's difficult for me to get back and be able to talk about, you know, the classic stuff, the stuff you really want to ask about, right? Like you talk to Kurt Russell about his new movie and maybe you just don't have time to ask about the ending of The Thing. What I love about these panels that I am moderating 6 of is that it is the opportunity to get to ask and hear about all of the nerdy things that you've always wanted to hear about. Asking, you know, John Carpenter about the fact that a Michael Myers mask used to be a William Shatner mask. Getting to ask Kurt Russell about playing ping pong with Walt Disney. Like these are stories that are going to be pretty incredible to hear live in person.
Important questions that people want to know the answers to. You know what I'm saying? But you're absolutely right. And the fact that a lot of these panels are just included with the cost of your admission. So you can just roll up to that theater, walk in, and you never quite know what's going to happen. I mean, we have lots of different actors from themed movies. You might be going to see one actor and then another actor from that same movie come and crashes the panel. I mean, it's that unexpected. You could be part of a viral moment, as you say, because you never quite know what question's going to come and what unique tidbit you're going to learn about what happened behind the scenes of creating your favorite character or your favorite show.
And for people who say, okay, sold, sounds good, I want to go out, is it a 3-day passes available? Do you have to buy by the day? How does it work?
We have 3-day passes available, so you can get them at fanexpochicago.com, or you can get them on site here at the Donald E. Stevens Convention Center. We have single-day passes available. We have youth passes available. We have family day passes. So we really work to make it available so everyone can come and be part of the fun.
Listen, Andrew, I'm not going to sit and try to say on live television that my panels are going to be better than everyone else's panels. But listen, man, you guys were kind enough to give me the big ones. A lot of the A-list panels that are happening, I'm very fortunate to be able to be the moderator of. Is there any chance you're going to be out checking out any of the panels that I'm hosting?
I am definitely going. I mean, as you say, a lot of them are the headliners. So I'm going to be in the theater with all the fans, really excited. And we're delighted to have you with us and appreciate you coming to make this such a special weekend for all of us.
I'm excited. Is there anything that you're dying for me to ask Kurt Russell about?
I mean, I want to know that he's having a good time. That's important to me. I think all of his fans also want to make sure that he's really enjoying his first convention appearance and only convention appearance at this stage. So I think that's important, that we're showing him a good time here in Chicago, which I'm sure he's going to see.
You know, you brought up a good point, which is the fact that more and more of these, you know, for a while, these conventions were maybe for, the intense fan that knew the second tier, third tier, Star Wars actors. But that's not the case anymore. You guys are bringing in A-listers into this kind of thing. Do you think that things like Fan Expo are becoming more attractive to some of the legendary actors out there?
Well, look, we've always had incredible lists, but I think people are seeing that fandom has really broadened, and our audience has broadened too. It used to be that this was a very focused group of fans that were coming to these events, but now I think it's really widened and broadened to the general public. We were lucky enough to do an event last week where we had Chris Evans join us.
Yeah.
So I think also the scale of Fan Expo HQ is helping us engage some of the really top tier celebrities, which ultimately is just helping us in our goal to deliver the very, very best experience that we can to all of our fans across North America.
Well, here's what I got a little inside baseball, Andrew. I normally host this show for another hour, but because I got to get out there, I got to get to you guys to start moderating some of these big panels. I'm actually leaving the show right after this conversation because I got to go, man. So really quick, let people know where they can get some more information, where they can see the schedule so you can come see my panels, and maybe where they can grab a ticket.
Yeah, head to fanexpochicago.com. That has everything you need to know. As you say, the schedule is there. There's maps there. There's details on all the programming, so you can plan out your weekend with all of your panels, and then also leave a little bit of room there for some surprise and delight. And as I said, Donald E. Stevens Convention Center, we're here all weekend. Everyone's welcome. You got to come and be part of it. A record-breaking year for us in Chicago this year, I'm sure.
It's going to be great. And listen, I can tell you, I happen to know a lot of the other folks that are moderating a lot of the other panels. They're friends of mine from around the country, and they're going to be great as well. I'm joking a lot about coming to mine. Whatever panel you go to, it's going to be fantastic. But selfishly, come to my panel. Come to my Kurt Russell panel. All right, guys. Andrew, have the best weekend. I'll see you out there in an hour or two, my man. See you soon.
Amazing. Thank you again.
Of course. All right. On that note, I got to go. Heading out to Fan Expo. If you're coming out there, come find me. Say hello. The far more talented, charming, insightful Tia Ewing is taking over the show. She's agreeing with me in the distance. We're going to go to break. Chicago Live rolls on. It's 3 o'clock. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Chicago Live. I am your host for the next hour, Tia Ewing. We got to talk about the forecast. There's a lot of people already out and about, a lot of people trying to get that perfect spot to watch the air and water show. The practices are going on right now. We want to go to meteorologist JD Rudd, who can tell us what we can expect. It's been cloudy most of the day. I'm looking outside, JD, not so cloudy. What will we expect this weekend?
Oh, those clouds are breaking apart now for some sunshine, Tia, helping to boost the temperatures up, also pushing out the rain, of course, too. Look at all the folks out there enjoying the beach. Not a bad day to be at the beach right now. It's not super hot. Humidity's not up there yet. That'll climb before too long. Temperatures right now mid to upper 70s. That is below normal for this time of year. The dew point values are currently holding in the upper 60s, low 70s. We're going to highlight these dew points because by this time tomorrow, those dew point values might be about 10 degrees higher. It is going to be a very humid day on our Saturday. However, between now and tomorrow afternoon, yes, there is another chance for thunderstorms. Radar picture is squeaky clean here. It is quiet across our area, but later on tonight in eastern portions of Iowa, a storm complex is likely to develop, roll its way eastward. And stop me if you heard this before, along and south of I-80, a chance for some stronger thunderstorms during the overnight time frame. I'll step you through Futurecast in just a moment. Let's plan out that weekend forecast. Middle 80s both for tomorrow and Sunday. We do have the storm icon there on Saturday. That's mainly for tonight into tomorrow morning. Things should be dry by tomorrow afternoon. The sun may come back out in the middle part of the day, but the dew point values are going to go up. A very humid Saturday is in store. Then there could be some more storms late tomorrow night into the early morning hours of Sunday. Most of Sunday afternoon looks to be dry and still pretty much on the very humid side. In the short term, though, it is that storm alert for tonight, roughly 1 a.m. to about 4 a.m. in our southernmost counties. Here's a quick peek at Futurecast. We picked things up at 10 p.m. tonight. There's the aforementioned storm complex in eastern Iowa. Watch this thing kind of roll its way right along I-80, moving into some of our westernmost locales at around 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. If this pans out, damaging straight line wind gusts and some very heavy rain. I'd be concerned about some flooding in some cases tonight. These are areas that have already picked up so much water in just the past 5 days alone. Some areas around 8 to 10 inches of water. How much rain could we see tonight? We'll time that out. We'll talk more about next week. That's during our 4 o'clock newscast. We'll come back more with Chicago Live in just a moment.
back to Chicago Live 307 on your Friday afternoon. We've got to start talking about election season. I know it's like 6 months out, but it is right around the corner. February 23rd, 2027, folks will be voting in the city of Chicago. And one of the folks putting his hat in the ring already is Samuel Sparks, for the 7th Ward right now. We know that seat is already occupied by Greg Mitchell. You have a business called The Brew that resides there. Right. Let's start with this. First of all, thank you so much for coming in studio with us.
Thank you for
having me.
But I
want you to have the opportunity to tell the folks that are watching right now that maybe they haven't made a decision either way on who they're going to vote for. Why you?
First off, thank you for having me. Second off, simply, we have the answer. We have the vision. We've been in the midst of chaos while trying to create sustainability, create structure, find the answer, find the problem to the issues. But we have several issues over there. And I'm a business, so economic development, economic sustainability, the structure, just all these things that you have. Even the mental health of the ward is, I mean, you looking at the dilapidation all the way from the business owners to the residents to just the average person walking in the 7th Ward.
I think it's important to note here that Greg Mitchell occupies that seat right now. He's the incumbent here. He's seeking a 4th term if he runs again, but he's been in that seat for more than a decade. And I'm just curious your position on what you see that needs to be done differently. And the reason why I ask that is because you have a business there.
Yeah.
You know some of the problems. I'm sure in your business you're having people come in from the community. I'm sure when you go into like a coffee style shop, you're venting about some of the things and things that you want to see changed.
Yeah.
What would be like top 3 on your list of things that you think from that position as an alderman that you could make a difference on?
Well, one, we need an economic engine within ourselves. The second part, the mental health of the ward is it is sad. And then the other part is the economic development and economic sustainability. He's been in that seat for 10 years, 11 years going on. Yeah. But the new owners are completely different. We're 40 and younger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And today's society and how the world is transitioning, you have to have a new. And I think that, you know, he doesn't see it. Let's just say that.
I want to talk to you about your background because this is new for you. You know, you've been invested in the community, but maybe not from the perspective of politics. Yeah. But we're starting to see this wave, right, of people getting into politics that have a business background and not necessarily like quote unquote career politicians.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you about your business that you have there. You've also been a stylist for Steve Harvey.
Correct.
Tell me how you think some of what you've learned in these different spaces would carry over to being an alderman.
Well, I think politics has nothing to do but with business and relationship, right? So I think the part of politics and sitting in the seat is that the politicians or the state leaders or the seat holder has lost the heart of the people. And I think when you do business, when you are in business to be sustainable or grow or expansion, you have to have the heart of the people. And I think that's the part that we missed a lot when you come to doing business. So I've been able to grow my business far greater than just one location. I've been a developer, the tutelage with Steve Harvey and sitting with him. We've bringing back resources, relationships, and business at a very high level. But everybody is attached to it. There's no selfishness to it. There's no egotistical to it. This is about the people. And I can't sustain as a business if the people is not straight.
I'm curious your opinion because, you know, when I drive through certain communities on the South Side, I ask the question all the time, where is the money going?
Facts.
Because when you drive down the streets aren't clean.
Talk about it.
There are potholes. And so it begs the question, we're making all this money, especially when you talk about property taxes in the state, some of the highest in the country. Where is the money going? Do you see that as an issue in the 7th Ward? And if so, where do you see the issues lying?
Oh, man. Look at the 7th Ward. You drive from 71st all the way up. You go from 79th and Jeffrey. Everything is vacant. There is a housing crisis, meaning affordable housing.
Yes.
You know, then you have where we have no food over there. There's only one grocery store. So you looking at how do you sustain the residents that actually take care of the community? If there's no sustainability for them, there is no community. And I think when you look at When you look at a community by spreadsheets, when you look at community by buildings, when you look at community by bricks, we have lost the posture of the people. And when I say that, I mean he have not sat down, and I say this directly because
the alderman you're talking about.
Yes, because I'm a business owner over there. I'm not just speaking from a political standpoint. I'm speaking from a business standpoint. When you have no voice and you cannot articulate your issues or your problems, where do they go?
Right.
It becomes a fungus. It becomes a problem that's ongoing, and that's why we have saw it for the last 10 years.
I know you announced today you got still a road to go in terms
sure.
of getting, the signatures and everybody in support.
Yeah.
What's the next step as you hit the ground running here?
You impact the people. Impact the people so that they can understand not only our vision, but we need not to make decisions without them. So we need to sit with them. We need to communicate from every level, from the elders all the way to the youth. Everybody have a voice.
You mentioned the youth, and I know we got like 30 seconds left, but I do want to bring this point up because we keep hearing time and time again, especially one of the big issues, teen takeovers. And we hear people say there needs to be a third space for young people to go. What is your position on that? Because that is a big issue in our community.
For sure. The teen takeover, it is a shared responsibility. It's a responsibility for us, and it's a responsibility for the youth. We have to create an environment and teach them how to be happy, how to enjoy, how to have fun, but also we have to also teach them how to be responsible in that space. So I think that there is a shared responsibility between us and the youth as well.
I do want to point out the fact, because they're not here, we do need to mention the other people that have entered this race. Nathaniel Pendleton is entering, Sheila Gunn Ward, also someone else, but Sam Sparks is who's with us today. We appreciate you taking time out, and
Thank
congratulations. You. Good luck.
Can I say this too?
Yeah, go ahead.
We're not running a political race, we're running an impact race. So this is completely different.
All right, and we appreciate that. Thank you so much for coming on Chicago Live. Stay with us. We're not done. We got about 45 minutes to go. We'll be right back after this short break.
Northwest Indiana Ram dealer.
Welcome back to Chicago Live. It is 3:17 on your afternoon. We want to talk about the Southside Arts Bank. This is actually happening from now through Saturday from noon until 8 o'clock. We got to bring in some of the folks that can talk about this. We have Theaster Gates. He's the owner of Southside Arts. And Hedgie Black, who is the owner of Han Cha. Thank you both so much for taking time out of your schedules to be with us this afternoon.
Pleasure. Thank you.
I'm so happy that you're both here to talk about this. Let's start out, Theaster, with actually talking to you. You obviously bought this crumbling bank from the city for just $1 and poured millions into saving it. When you first walked in, what did you see and what did you envision people would see within this space?
That it was going to be demolished, I asked to get access to the building, and I immediately saw the potential for this building to be one of the great cultural institutions in our city. It is a kind of Romanesque style building. It's one of the last of the big buildings on Stony Island, and I thought it should be a home for Black archives, music, performance, film. And so over the last 12 years, that's what we've done.
I love that. I know we're going to have this high tea event here in Hedgie Black. You have a lot to do with this. Tell us about this high tea experience and what people will experience when they show up there.
Yes, it's very special. Theaster was kind. He and I have been friends for a long time and asked me to collaborate with him on a hospitality space in the Arts Bank. And so this high tea is 2 hours, and not only is there delicious food and really exquisite tea that you only find at the Arts Bank, you get to experience it all on Theaster's Studio Ceramics. So it's exceptionally special, and it's almost like being part of an art performance experience in itself. So
I love that, because when I think about high tea, it's not something that you hear anymore. Maybe kids are doing it like make believe kind of thing, but we haven't really heard this being, part of our culture as much as it used to be. Theaster, I want to talk about that because people will be drinking from the ceramics that you created. Why was it important that people could actually touch and use the art instead of simply just looking at it?
Well, after a really amazing career of creating artworks that were made for, the world, I wanted to be able to have artworks that were made for everyday people, things that were affordable and accessible. And so for me, tea is not something that's just for the wealthy or just for some kind of monarch, but tea is one of the everyday kind of common drinks or beverages that unites people and creates community. So I think the work that Hedgie's doing together with me, our hope is that people would imagine that everyone deserves the right to have the opportunity to gather and be present with each other and have a great beverage and food experience.
I'm happy that you said that, because I think when you think high tea, you think of, affluent, right? People, only a certain privilege would afford you the opportunity to even take part in a high tea. Hedgie, I want you to kind of walk me through the menu, what people will expect when they come for this experience.
Well, the first thing they experience is they get to walk through this incredible space. They pass by Theaster's installation, artwork, and they come to this very tranquil room. And you're met with 3 courses. The first course is a beautiful charcuterie plate. As the name Hancha implies, and I'm Korean, we brought in a lot of Korean influences into this 3-course experience. And so there are bites and flavors of Korea sprinkled throughout. There's a gochujang hot honey butter that we encourage people to use very liberally with a few of the baked goods. And the second course are Asian Korean takes on tea sandwiches, which are delightful. And then the third course is our dessert course with a canale and a banana coulis tart.
Man.
And so, yes, it's delicious, and all the teas go excellently with all of them. So
I love this because it's like culture. It's different cultures all in one. And I say that because you're talking about being inspired by the Korean culture. But when we talk about the Art Bank, we have to talk about the Black history that exists within this space. We know that there's history in there, from Ebony and Jet to Frankie Knuckles' record collection. What do you want someone to understand about Chicago's Black history when they actually walk out of this building?
Well, a few things are important. One is that the Black experience doesn't stop with Black space. That, from GIs who have served in Korea and in Japan, professors and nurses who have experienced travel exchanges since the 1920s. We've been creativity has been traveling all over the world, and as a result, learning things about themselves throughout the world. And I felt really honored to be able to offer something that celebrates both Black culture and the fact that Black folk are worldwide, interested in everything in the world. And so this is one opportunity to just kind of celebrate the diversity of intelligences, cultural offerings that exist both on the South Side and around the world.
Oh, man, you got me wanting to come to this. That is for sure. I got to ask you this question because when we think of a high tea, we think of formal, right? Even the dress for that time period mostly was a formal kind of event. Is that what you're asking people that show up? Should they dress in formal wear? What should they expect in terms of that part of the experience?
We welcome people to come as they want to. We have a few people who have come to us who travel around the world experiencing high tea and afternoon tea, and they come dressed to impress and they look amazing. And then we have people from Hyde Park who just come in and want to experience it and are very casual and are there. Most important to us is that they're there to unplug and to really take some time to enjoy this experience and feel like they have a bit of an escape from our modern world as it is.
Someone watching right now is convinced they want to come out to this. How can they grab tickets?
We are available on Open Table. And so reservation link is available through Open Table and then also on our website, stonyislandartsbank.com.
I want you to talk before we let you go, Theaster, if you will, about your space. I'm sure, this is not the only event that you're going to have there, and people can come there at other times. Tell us about the space and when people can visit, on their own time. Maybe they're not coming for high tea, but they want to check out your space.
Yeah. So Thursdays to Sunday from 8 till noon, we have our space open, and we have a bar in addition to high tea, and we also have, the bar is called You Know Me, and we also have a listening space that we've set up where we've set out some speakers. We have some really amazing soul music and jazz, and we just encourage people to come and look at the space. We're giving tours both formally and informally, and so Thursday through Sunday, you're welcome to come.
I love this. And anyone that's not sure where it is, it's at 6760 South Stony Island. I also want you to talk real briefly before I let you go about, the collection. I mentioned some of it, but there's 15,000 items of collections of books, et cetera. Can you explain everything that you have inside?
So at the Arts Bank, we currently have the Johnson Publishing Library collection. And that collection is everything that was used for research around the topics at hand by the researching team at Johnson Publishing. And in addition, it has John Johnson's personal books signed by some of the greatest living people ever. Our greats including like Richard Wright and documents by Stevie Wonder. And, it's just an amazing collection of books and memorabilia. And then we also have some of the Johnson Publishing Company's furniture on site. And then at our new space, the Land School, we have the collection of Frankie Knuckles, which we're very, very excited about.
Well, we are very excited that you decided to come on Chicago Live to talk about this. One more time, tell us when the high tea is happening.
It's Thursday. Yes, it's Thursday through Saturday, and we have 3 seatings on those days, 1 and 3 and 5 p.m. And on Sundays, we have 2 seatings, one at 1 and another at 3.
I'm happy
we
that
hope
you
to
said
see
that.
you there.
I'm happy that you said that because I missed out on the Sunday, so I wanted to make sure we got that in. Hedgie, Theaster, we thank you both so much for your time today on Chicago Live, and hopefully I can make it out to one of these high teas because it sounds like a really amazing experience. Thank you both.
You're welcome
Please
anytime.
do.
All right.
Thank you.
We'll catch up with you later. Stay right here on Chicago Live. Coming up, we're going to talk about some relief funds that went, I should say, really, really fast. We're talking about less than 24 hours. We're going to talk about it out of Hazel Crest, Illinois. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Chicago Live. We've been talking about the storm damage that was pretty widespread across Chicagoland, including Northwest Indiana. And just 24 hours ago, we know that the village of Hazel Crest made this post. It literally said this: "We are pleased to report that Illinois Realtors has facilitated disaster relief funds for Hazel Crest residents impacted by the July 27 tornadoes. Eligible residents can apply for a $500 grant to help offset storm-related damage and recovery costs." Well, here we are. Within hours, that money was gone because of high demand. The village actually put out a post saying that the realtors, the Illinois Realtors, had actually set aside $25,000 for this relief effort, but as of right now, they had to close those applications. I want to bring Nikita Cloud, Dr. Nikita Cloud, the spokesperson for Hazel Crest, into this conversation. Nikita, thank you so much for taking time out for us.
Thank you so much for getting the messaging out and all the great things you guys have been doing.
We got to talk about this. This money went really, really fast. Tell us about, who applied so far, how many people, to your knowledge, applied, and then what's the next steps? Because obviously you have to close this because of high demand.
Yeah, so basically the Illinois Realtors Association, they had a grant. They were able to get the funding for us, $25,000. I literally put it online for within hours, maybe 6 hours, the need, $500 per family, and it was gone. So the next steps, they have to make sure that, obviously the need is, valid. And then it was way more. So we can go over a few. However, it was far leaps and bounds on the amount of people who had submitted for assistance because they really need it right now. We got hit.
Really, really hard. I want you to talk about that. Talk about the damage done in Hazel Crest. We know the area was, there was a confirmed tornado July 27th of 2026. And then here we are again talking about storms. Tell me about some of the damage that happened there in the village of Hazel Crest.
Yeah, actually, it's worth noting that it was reported that the same tornado hit twice in Hazel Crest during the first storm a few weeks ago. And then we got hit again on Tuesday. So we have so many down trees. We have Novak, the apartment complex. They were destroyed, you know, for all intents and purposes. And then also we have a condo development over off of 170th and Head Street that was destroyed as well. So we have about 100 families in total that were displaced, and that's what we're trying to, you know, especially with school starting back on Monday, we're trying to see what we can do to get them some assistance.
I want you to talk about really the road to recovery, because when you drive around some of these communities, you see these huge trees down, some of them, you know, narrowly, you know, missing the public way. What's the process like? Because I think sometimes people get frustrated, like this isn't happening fast enough. Kind of walk us behind the scenes of the process of cleanup in some of these villages.
And I'm glad you brought that up. Yes. So it is a process. So for one, you have all, you know, of our first responders. That is our public works team, our police department, our fire department. And then you also have to consider the fact that we have a lot of down trees. Now with the down trees, we have a lot of down lines, you know, that's a ComEd matter at that point. So what happened, we have to make sure that the lines aren't live before we pick them up, because safety is first. So now once we've identified all the lines and now we have the power for the most part all back on, so now you go to the recovery and the cleanup part. So now what they're doing, working around the clock, our public works team, just kind of getting it in there and getting the trees cut up. And then you have to chip the trees, because you don't, because now you got a bunch of trees in the area where they're just laying out all over the place. So you got that. And then we have to, again, the road to recovery, you got buildings, and then buildings have issues with, they're trying to get the engineers to come out, you know, the architects to come out and do assessments. But what happens in that case? We get hit with another storm. So that delay.
Now, I'm happy that you pointed that out, and we actually just got some breaking news kind of related to the storms in which you're talking about. August 21st was supposed to be the kickoff to the Air and Water Show in Gary, Indiana, and in fact, the mayor has made the decision to cancel the Air and Water Show because of these storms being so intense, people not being able to really navigate around the areas. And you can hear, at least here in our studios, those planes are flying by because of the Air and Water Show locally. I know that's unrelated to us having this conversation, but related to the topic of storms. Nikita, what are you telling residents there in terms of, you know, trying to get with their insurance for damage? Do you think that there will be more grant opportunities in the future, or are you looking for maybe even some state assistance as the road of recovery continues here?
Yes to all three. And then another thing we want to do, and we want to point out, because unfortunately, I have to say the quiet part out loud, where we do have those who could potentially go and prey on residents in their lowest moments. So we tell them to beware of contractors knocking on the door saying, hey, let me cut your tree down. Verify that these are actually real contractors before you give them any money. Next, we are looking for all assistance. We are even asking landlords at this point, if you have units and you know, if you're willing to at least lend your place over to displaced residents, reach out to us over at the village and kind of let us know, because, you know, they're coming to us. Also, if you are a resident that is without power, you can come into Village Hall and, you know, kind of charge up during business hours. If you are, you know, as far as your phones and any other electronics that you may need. Also, we're in communication with like the Red Cross. I mean, it's literally been a village. School District 144 has stepped up. The Salvation Army has stepped up with resources. ComEd has actually came out with different resources. So we're just taking resources everywhere we can. And we're hoping that, you know, at some point, you know, we can get some resources from our government area, you know, because I don't know what's going on with that as far as if anything has been declared or some assistance from that case, but we are looking forward to all of it.
No, that's a good point. We know the governor was on the ground in Lansing today, caught a little heat for being in Springfield at the time of these storms and not making his way back into this particular area. So we do know that he addressed at least some of that today by touring Lansing. We don't know if that will mean funds will come with that. He did make an announcement about funds for flood relief victims, but that dates back to last year. year's flood. So still a lot of questions on how that will play out. Nikita, what is the main sticking point there on the ground in Hazel Crest right now? I know you told me about some families that are displaced. School is set to start. Is electricity completely up and running there in Hazel Crest right now?
It was. And then now some electricity went back out as a result of the storm from the other day. So now we're about 86, 87% back. So we have some, people that are without power. Some of the more larger apartment complexes are without power, but we are diligently working with ComEd to make sure that everybody is back.
Yeah, I know that experience all too well of not having power. I was out of it for several days. What about like your gas stations, restaurants? Because we saw that issue in Northwest Indiana where cars were lined up because there was just a few gas stations in town that had gas. People were lined up at the grocery store trying to get inside, lined up trying to get, food at the restaurants. Is that the same narrative there in Hazel Crest right now?
Actually, our gas stations they're busy, but we still have gas. So I tell people, and I get it, because, most of us, historically, we're known for going to Indiana for gas. Come on, we're welcoming you with open arms.
All right. Well, Nikita Cloud, what would be your final message? Maybe people are looking for more updates on grant opportunities. What would you tell them? Would you say to watch the Hazel Crest Facebook page?
Yeah, watch the Hazel Crest Facebook page. We also have a newsletter that go out once a week. Actually, it's going out today. And then also our website, www.villageofhazelcrest.org.
All right, Dr. Nikita Cloud, thank you so much for your time and coming on Chicago Live. We really appreciate you.
Oh, my absolute pleasure.
All right, we'll see you next time. Thank you so much for tuning in to Chicago Live. We have about 20 plus minutes, 22 minutes to be exact, left of our show. I do want to point out again, we did get some breaking news straight from Gary, Indiana, where the mayor there has made the decision because of all of the devastation there on the ground because of tornadoes, right, that happen out in that area. The Air Water Show. It's canceled. It's supposed to be next weekend, August 21st through the 23rd. We are actively working to get them on the show. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the one and only Chicago Live, 341 on your Friday afternoon. We want to take a live look at North Avenue Beach right now because you'll see people are lined up along the shoreline there, and that is because they are getting a perfect spot to see really the practice run of the Air and Water Show. It was pretty cloudy earlier today, but I am being told that you can see some of the planes whipping right on through the air as of right now. But let me tell you about the dates of the Air and Water Show. It kicks off this Saturday, which is tomorrow. It runs through Sunday from 10 to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. This is really practice day is what you're seeing today. It is absolutely free. No tickets or reservations are required. And if you're trying to figure out where do I go to get the best seat in the house, they say the best seat in the house would obviously be at North Avenue Beach. It's the focal point where you can see the show along the lakefront from roughly Fullerton Avenue to Oak Street. We know those Air Force Thunderbirds, they're flying the F-16s. We actually hear them right here in the Fox 32 studios right now, right off of Michigan Avenue. We can hear them just whipping through the air. Also featured will be the Golden Knights. We know that, the F-22 Raptor demo team, Marine Corps F-35B Lightning II demo team as well as a lot of other demonstrations you can see. This has been the 67th annual show. It actually began in 1959. We got to find out, though, if the weather is going to cooperate. We know some rain is in our forecast, so we'll have much more on that. And, of course, you can watch our news at 4 and 5 right here on Fox Chicago. Okay, we got to switch gears now, because as I talk about the Air and Water Show here in Chicago, over in Gary, Indiana, there's been a decision about their Air and Water Show, which is supposed to be next weekend, running from the 21st through the 23rd there right at Marquette Park. I want to bring Mayor Eddie Melton into the conversation because this is breaking news at this hour. I know you guys there have decided to pull the plug on the show because of all of the storm damage. Walk me through really what went into that decision, and thank you so much for coming on Chicago Live.
No, thank you so much. And listen, for me, it was a difficult decision, but it was a swift one we had to make. We thank everyone that comes every year to the Air and Water Show. Last year, we had over 250,000 people come over the weekend. But as you know, this storm was unprecedented. And we have our crews, our public safety officials, everyone that's working very hard to recover through this storm and get life back to normal for our residents. So in good faith, I could not move forward. I could not see putting public safety, police and fire, working them over the weekend, our public service and general service crews that typically clean up for the show. They're helping to get trees off of homes and trees off of cars right now. Gary received 99-mile-an-hour winds, and we're still bouncing back from that, and power is still out. So I didn't want to invest in a grand party during this time.
I want to talk about the governor there, Mike Braun of Indiana, because he was on the ground. You were alongside him for this press conference where, it took some time, but he did eventually declare a statewide disaster emergency. Talk to me about what that means for Gary and if you are seeing some of those resources in the works right now.
Yes, Governor Braun and his entire team have been phenomenal. This is one of those situations. This is not a Democrat versus Republican issue. This is about the people. And I think we've shown that as leaders in the community. Other mayors have come together to work together. And by him declaring it a natural disaster has triggered resources from the state government and soon to be federal government. The National Guard is here. They just touched down this morning. They're helping our crews get trees and debris out of the roadways. There's allowing our utility company, NIPSCO, to do power restoration. And shout out to all of the linemen and all of the folks that's inspecting the areas, because we still have thousands of people out without power. I'm in the mayor's office right now. I don't even have power. So to give you some context. So I'm doing this from my phone. So folks are working extremely hard, and I want to acknowledge the work that's being done in this effort.
Okay, let's go back to the power issue, because we know some people, even in, like, for example, Dyer, right, Munster, some of those folks are still without power, slowly but surely coming back online. Have you gotten a timeline? Because I'm sure people in Gary are just as anxious as everywhere else to get that power on, as well as you. Have you gotten any answers on really what the sticking point is as to why the power hasn't been restored yet, and maybe even a timeline?
Yeah, there's no timeline right now, and I want to set realistic expectations. Although I don't work for the utility company, right, I do have experience in that field. I know that assessing the damage has already started being done. They brought in extra crews, over 200 additional contractors from outside states have come in to help do a power restoration. So we are seeing neighborhoods coming back online in the city of Gary, but we still have significant damage. We have poles that are snapped in half. We have a lot of tree damage that are entangled in these wires. So there's a lot of work that's going to go into this. So I would not expect any quick recovery when it comes down to power being restored. So we're making places like the YWCA in Gary one of our shelters and one of our places where folks can get a hot meal. We have on our Facebook page and other resources places where you can go get food throughout the entire city in Northwest Indiana as well. So thank you to all of our partners. U.S. Steel has done a phenomenal job in a storm recovery as well. So just be patient, folks. They're working on it.
And I want to just bring people up to speed. Maybe they're just tuning in. Again, this is breaking news out of Gary, Indiana, where the air show will be canceled next weekend. Is there any plans? And I know you're in the midst of dealing with, obviously this natural disaster that none of us really saw coming, right? We didn't know that we would be in this place. But has there been any conversation about the next event happening? If this will be, rescheduled for another time? Has there been a conversation about that at all? And in fact, I'm also curious about schools. What will happen with the schools there in Gary as well? I know that's a two-part question there for you, Mayor.
No, I got it. These are questions that I think the public need to know. Number one, the schools. We definitely are working with the Gary School Corporation with Dr. Stokes. They're still closed. Power is still not on in the school corporation. And of course, today is Friday. But they are on a priority list, just like our hospital was, just like our police and public safety facilities are as well. So they've been serving grab-and-go food to residents in the city of Gary at Westside High School. So I want to commend them for their hard work and dedication. So we'll just encourage folks, stay tuned to their Facebook page, to all of their media outlets and emails on whether school will be back in section next week. I forgot the second question.
I was asking about the Gary Air Show. If you talked about rescheduling it, or will there be some other event, to replace it? Because obviously the community has had such a tough time here lately. If there will be some light at the end of the tunnel, if you will.
Well, for this year, the air show is not going to be rescheduled. Okay. We're in conversation with our other partners to discuss next year. We do know that this is a favorite event throughout the Midwest, so I don't want to overlook that. So we're going to evaluate and see if those performers, those acts are available for next year. I think that's something that we can definitely discuss and that I'm open to. But we do have another event at the end of the month. We have the Jackson event, the 2300 Jackson Street Block Party, where we commemorate and celebrate the Jackson family. We had nearly 20 to 30,000 people last year for our first event. We're going to have a carnival. We're going to have some great family-friendly events that's taking place, and some of the Jackson family members are coming in like they did last year as well. But that's at the end of the month. We got about another 2 to 3 weeks in preparation for that, and I'll make a decision based on where we are with our resources. Again, I don't want to overextend our folks. We have a very limited crew in police and fire and general services, so their safety they have to address and tend to their homes and their families as well. So that's something we got to do on a case-by-case basis.
Understood. Well, we appreciate you talking with us. I know this is breaking news, so hopefully we have getting that message out to people. Mayor Eddie Melton with Gary, Indiana, we thank you so much for your time here on Chicago Live.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you. Well, stay with us right here. We have another 10 minutes left. We know it's been a heavy news week, but we are going to end it on a lighter note with comedian my cousin Tiara. You probably know her. We'll have her join us right here on Chicago Live after this short break. Welcome back to Chicago Live. I was expecting a little wipe there, a little graphic, a little music. Didn't happen, but that's okay. We've had a really tough week here across Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana included, and I think we must end this show on a Friday on a funny note. I want to bring into the conversation my cousin Tierra, born and raised right on the west side of Chicago. Tierra O'Leary, thank you so much for your time today and coming on Chicago Live.
Thank you for having me. Hey, Tia girl.
Hey, girlfriend. Okay, so you got a show tonight, so you got a lot of time to be with us. And then you have a show on Sunday. Tell me, what is it like to be doing comedy? I know you travel around the world, but to take these shows to people that know you best in your hometown.
Oh man, just being able to perform at home is like the best feeling in the world. And it seems like it's been forever since I performed here at home. So I'm doing 2 shows tonight and then 2 shows tomorrow here at the Comedy Bar downtown.
What can people expect? Because I know you have characters. You have Dominique, yeah, that's one of your characters. And you have is it Diamond and Dominique? Did I get it right?
Yeah, that's 2 of them.
That's 2 of them.
Destiny and
Diamond, yes, and Destiny too. I always get it messed up because there's so many D's. Will some of those characters be featured in some of your comedy skits that you're presenting?
Well, my stand-up and my content are 2 totally different avenues. I do incorporate some of the stand-up jokes in the content and some of the content in the stand-up, but not as much as people would expect. My stand-up, I'm kind of like, I like to look at myself as a Red Fox type of girl. I'm a one character here and I'm one person on stage.
Understood. I do want to talk about your content because you've launched in a space where some people are like, kind of scared to launch into, and that's into the world of AI, where you've really created basically like your own little mini sitcom. What made you decide to launch in that way?
So initially, I was looking to do it the regular way and shoot it to a major network or a minor network and see where we could go from there. I had people audition. I had characters written out and typed up. I had a full script. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to push that by myself financially for the most part. And one day I was having a talk with my manager, Dr. Pamela Blackman, and she was like, I think you should try and launch this series, but do it online. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to teach myself how to work AI. And that's what I started doing. I'm self-taught. I'm at episode 3 now. It's 3 full episodes posted already. The series is called Mama Knows Best because Mama knows best. Everybody knows that. And you can watch it on YouTube, on my YouTube, My Cousin Tierra.
I love it. I think it's very innovative because when I first thought, I'm like, is this did somebody shoot this? And then I kept watching and it took a while.
It looks really good.
It looks so good. It took a while for me to even know that it was AI. What is your message behind that? And how have people received it? Because we are in a role where, some people, some of the old folks, mom on them, are sometimes skeptical of AI.
Yeah. Well, I was skeptical of AI at first. And then once I started teaching myself, with all of the warnings that come with AI, they're like, it's utilizing water in the data centers and, but I really, really, really wanted this sitcom, this series to be televised. And I really wanted people to see it because it was so requested amongst my fans. I have millions and millions of people who knew about Mama Knows Best, and they see me act out these characters online. I just really wanted to put a face to Diamond, Destiny, and Dominique, which are my daughters. And it was received really well. My views are up. People are really enjoying it. And it's to the point where they're like, when is episode 4 coming out? So I think I'm doing pretty good with it. I'm excited about it. It's my baby.
And you own it, right? Because if you got some studio involved, then they own it. I wanted you to tell people, we got about 30 seconds left, where they can go and get tickets to see your shows tonight and tomorrow. You're at the Comedy Bar.
I am. So you can get tickets for the Comedy Bar at comedybar.com. The tickets should pop up on Eventbrite. If you search Eventbrite, you can also click a link in my Instagram, Facebook, TikTok bio at My Cousin Tierra on all 3 of those pages.
Well, we need
get a ticket and come see me.
Yeah, go see My Cousin Tierra. We need some laughter after this week. It's been a really tough week for a lot of folks, and some of us ain't got power anyway, so we may as well hang out at the Comedy Bar and enjoy some AC. Tierra O'Leary, My Cousin Tierra, thank you so much for coming on Chicago Live, and best of luck this weekend.
Thank you.
All right, we'll see you next time. Well, we appreciate everyone tuning in to Chicago Live this week. The Fox 32 News at 4 starts right now.
From Chicago, this is Fox 32 News at 4.
And for you, they've never called off the Air and Water Show for weather. Is this the weekend it happens?
Power outages continue in Illinois and Indiana.